I got on my knees one more time to look through the hole again. As I put my eye up to the hole, the entire room was now blocked because the woman had gotten on her knees.
3 scary true sneaking out horror stories by Mr. Nightmare. What's good? How your day going? Your morning, your evening, your night, whenever you're watching this video. I ain't about to talk your ears off, doggy bomb. We about to go ahead and jump right into this. You know they say a soft ass, a hard head make a soft A. You know that, right? Hey, but either way it go, I guess 3 people about to find out, dog. You wanna check out the original video? Link will be in the description below. But let's go. I said a soft ass, my nigga. Start 2463. What's that say? Will set. Will set, yeah.
My aunt and uncle live in Fort Myers, Florida. Every winter we visit them for a weekend just to see them and escape the cold. This has been a long-time tradition, dating back to when they first moved there, about 15 years ago. So we'd been doing this almost as long as I could remember. This happened back when I was 12. My cousin Ashley, who was a year older than me, would always be there, of course, so the 2 of us would hang out a lot during these visits. She was cool to hang out with, and I related to her a lot, even though I was a young boy and she's a girl. She'd always be down to do the cool stuff that I'd normally do with my friends at that age. After the family dinner on the first night there, we all watched a movie together. After the movie, our parents hung out with each other in the kitchen drinking wine. They wouldn't let Ashley and I go out that late, as we were only 12 and 13. But Ashley wanted to go to a nearby canal where locals were apparently reporting having seen a 10-foot-long alligator. Basically, we both wanted to go see if we could find the gator after she convinced me. We snuck out through the back door while our parents were still in the kitchen. On our way to the canal, we stopped at the 7-Eleven on the street so we could get some snacks on the way. The cashier already told us to be careful out there, implying it was late for us to be out. The streets were deserted at this hour. The area of Fort Myers in which they live is on the significantly quieter side. We walked for like 10 minutes, and the closer we got to this canal she kept talking about, the swampier the sides of the road started to get. Ashley froze in front of me and looked straight ahead. She pointed ahead and said, "What's that guy doing?" I saw right away what she meant.
My bad, I thought it was gonna be the damn gator.
Pointed ahead and said, "What's that guy doing?" I saw right away what she meant. At the far end of the street, there was the silhouette of this man, just standing completely still on the sidewalk. If he was walking or perhaps looking down at something in his hands, it would have been different. But him just standing still doing nothing, apparently looking off straight ahead, it just sent shivers down both our spines. Ashley said this was the only way to get to the canal, unless we cut through people's yards or gross sewage-type water. So we continued walking, but slower, more cautious now. We were half the distance from the man now, when he suddenly turned around. I don't mean he turned his head. No, he literally turned his whole body around at once without even taking a peek to see if we were coming first or anything. We stopped. He was facing us, no doubt. There was a bit of a standoff for a few seconds before he lifted his arm and started waving at us. It wasn't a normal, gentle wave of a hand. No, he was waving his whole arm. It soon transitioned into him making a come here motion with his arm. Ashley and I looked at each other, then started running away down the street, back the way we came. We got winded pretty quickly and stopped to catch our breath in front of some small yellow house. We sat on the grass of the property for a second, just gathering our thoughts. Ashley told me there are a lot of weird people that live down there, especially in the area we were just walking. Now I understood why her parents didn't want her out this late alone.
What?
We got up after a couple minutes and started walking back to her house when we saw him again. That guy was at the end of the street, not moving once again. He was as still as he was before. His same exaggeratedly stiff, arms flatted side posture. He was directly under a streetlight this time, so we could see his features. He was like 40. His hair seemed to be slightly slicked back. His nose seemed to be fucked up, like it was bent to the side. He was smiling too. He wasn't showing teeth though, it was a closed-mouthed smile. He once again started waving at us. Then I still don't know why.
But no, it sucked because, me being, well, he was 12, she 13, right? Going, hey, I'm out of town anyway. My cousin heard it was a damn gator. I probably would have snuck out. But yeah, you don't know why. This is why your parents tell you, like, no, you can't go. And if you sneak out, we don't know where your little stupid ass at. So if something like this happen, can't get you. It just, life sucked. We ain't about to talk that shit, though. Let's watch this video,
mouth
man.
smile. He once again started waving at us.
Just scream, dog.
And I still don't know why. Ashley got up and waved back at him. As she did this, he stopped waving and his smile disappeared. It was only a few seconds later that he erupted into a full-on sprint towards us. Ashley started screaming and running. I got up off the ground and ran as fast as I could after her. I was in pure shock. I think that's why I couldn't get a scream out. That, and it would take extra breath that I didn't have. We ran through people's yards, hopped over fences, and ran down different streets until we finally made it back to her house. The back door was locked now, so unfortunately we had to knock on the door, exposing us. Trying to avoid getting in trouble, we simply said we ran to 7-Eleven to get snacks. While Ashley's parents were more upset than mine, they let us off with just a slap on the wrist, telling us not to go out again at that hour. That man's face lit up under that streetlight still terrifies me to this day, 10 years later.
Story 2. Thank goodness they got away, but damn, man, even in those moments that you have where it's like, damn, that could have been life or death right there. Well, it was life or death right there. You still be trying to not get in trouble. Like I'm gonna still lie to my parents, so I'm gonna still try to get away from them, get it around them. You know what I meant.
My two friends and I were having a sleepover on one of the last summer nights before the new school year started. We didn't want to end it on a dull note, so we decided later that night that we would sneak out and walk about a mile to our local high school. We live in a small town in the middle of bumfuck Massachusetts, so everything is close. Around 12 a.m., both my friends and I left the house and started making our way to the high school. The way there was uneventful, just us walking down the road laughing, sometimes yelling, just being typical dumb teenagers like always. We walked in the middle of the road because it was late and there was hardly any traffic in general. It took about 20 minutes to make it to the high school, where all we did was lay on the turf field, look up at the stars, and talk about the summer, as well as other stupid shit that made us laugh. We actually had such a good time that we laid there for almost an hour, so when we decided to walk back, it was close to 1 o'clock. As we made our way down the road back home, we approached a T intersection. That's where we saw a car. We noticed the car was just sitting there at the stop sign, which was on our side of the road. We could only see the headlights because the rest of the car was blocked by a row of trees. No cars were coming either. Of course, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, but the car didn't move. It just sat there. My friends and I continued to approach the intersection. Suddenly, the car slowly moved further out of the intersection, turned in our direction, and began driving past us. We made out the car to be an old white Mustang. As it passed, my friend yelled something stupid about the car being a V6, making fun of it. It was funny for about 0.8 seconds until the vehicle slammed on the brakes.
You say what, nigga?
My heart go into my throat as the car peeled into a fast U-turn. I yelled to
You know what's funny, dog? Yo, every group of friends, well, at least I feel like, it's always that one in the group that got that mouth that you would see get beat up. Yo, it was this one girl in high school. Y'all wouldn't know anyway, so fuck the story. I'm done, dog. Done. High school was wild, man. But look, either way it go, though, dog. I can't stop saying that shit. Either way it go, though, man. Look. What was I about to say? Oh, yeah. I do feel like, dog, look, Doggy Bomb was just waiting on them regardless. He was going to turn around and get them anyway. I was like, yeah. When it was like they got to the T and he was just sitting there, I was like, oh, yeah, he waiting on them anyway. Little weirdo, ain't it? I think I went back too far. Let me see.
Funny for about 0.8 seconds until the vehicle slammed on the brakes. I felt my heart go into my throat as the car peeled into a fast U-turn. I yelled to my friends, run, and we all ran down the street. We ran onto the joining road where we first saw the car coming out of. As soon as I made it near the row of trees, I jumped into the woods. So did my friends a few yards down the road. We had about 3 seconds to spare before the car turned down the road. He started slow rolling down the street like he was looking for us, and when he didn't see us, he stopped. Out stepped 2 large men, one holding a massive rod. I muttered fuck under my breath as I hid in the leaves.
Oh no, what?
One holding a massive rod. I muttered fuck under my breath as I hid in the leaves. They began walking towards the tree line. I quietly covered my mouth to conceal my breathing. My heart was beating so fast and hard I felt like they would hear it too. The driver, who had a big metal rod in his hand, yelled threats at us into the woods. He continued looking into the woods, along with his buddy. I could feel their eyes pass me over and over again. They just stood there, watching, listening for one of us to make a sound. If he walked only a few more yards from the tree line into the woods, he would find me. His buddy said, "Fuck it, let's go," as he started walking back to the passenger side of the car. "There'll be others out," he said. The driver took one last look into the woods and hopped into his car. The car turned around and took off back down the road past the high school leading out of town. I stayed in the woods
Or
for
is it just one of them type of people that just looking for smoke, regardless? Like, you just happen to be wrong place, wrong time, then you gonna get it. Because it sounded like, I don't know if he was like trying to get them or trying to beat their ass. Like, bro, because she's talking about your little V6?
around and took off back down the road past the high school leading out of town. I stayed in the woods for another couple of minutes, waiting to see if the car would come back, which it didn't. I stepped out, along with my friends further down the road, and we all ran all the way home. We made it back and tried to enjoy the rest of our night. We tried to laugh about it later, but deep down, we knew how scary that was.
Yeah, you gotta give it a little more
It was just
time.
another crazy experience, until 2 days later, when we found out through some local friends of ours that a white Mustang was stolen and involved in a robbery from the next town over, the same night we were chased. I could only imagine what would have happened if those two men decided to walk further into the woods.
Hey, that one could have been wild for real, for real.
When I was 16, I had a curfew. I wasn't allowed out past 12 on the weekends. My friend Jose was lucky enough to not have a curfew. It was a Saturday in 2013.
Got one of those friends too. I feel like every group got the same type of friends. If you had or got friends, or whatever. It's like, yeah, you got the ones where I feel like the parents just get them all the freedom. Like, man. And I ain't gonna lie, as bad as I want to sit here and say because it sounds good on TV and look where they at now. Nope, them niggas still doing good right now. I ain't gonna cap to you. Like, what the man?
When I was 16, I had a curfew. I wasn't allowed out past 12 on the weekends. My friend Jose was lucky enough to not have a curfew. It was a Saturday in 2013. My parents were asleep. Jose wanted to go explore some abandoned hospital across town, so I snuck out of my room very quietly and tiptoed down the stairs.
Jose gonna get your ass
I
beat.
exited through the back door and grabbed my bike from the shed, then I left on my way to Jose's house. From there, I met him and we rode across town. It took about 10 minutes. I followed him the whole way, until we ended up at this fenced-off property. Inside...
And you saw my mom in the robe. No, that's the scariest. Hey, look, you know Uncle Charlie got a story for everything. Oh, my mama, dog. I'm gonna call my cousin to prove this one to you, dog. I kid you not. I'm gonna tell you the end, dog. Wow, boy.
minutes, I followed him the whole way, until we ended up at this fenced-off property. Inside of the perimeter was this tall brick building. It didn't look that old. It was once an active hospital many years ago. The town just never bothered to tear it down. We parked our bikes in a big bush out of sight. Next step was hopping the fence, which was easy. The third step was finding a way into the building. We scanned the perimeter by walking around the building, until we found a basement-level window that was already broken open. Jose went in first. I shined my flashlight into the window for him so he could see. It looked a little scary down there, considering how dark it was. Nevertheless, I wasn't going to bitch out now. It was my turn to enter while he held the light. Once we were in and both had our flashlights on, though, it was pretty well lit. There wasn't much in this basement level we entered into. It seemed to be mostly for storage and boiler-type rooms. We found a stairway upstairs, and once we went through this rusty door, we were on the main floor, in this hallway that still had some of the lights on. It sounds weird, but having some of the hospital lights still on just made this more eerie. Like we were a little more worried about running into someone. It's not like the whole place was lit up. There would be like one light on here and one light on down the hall, with lots of pitch black corners and dark gaps in between. There was also this loud buzzing, whistling sound that we couldn't pinpoint. It was kind of creepy. We started exploring by taking a look into each little room. Most of the expensive stuff seemed to be cleared out, like the beds and equipment. The place was kind of clean for an abandoned building, though. It seemed not many people explored it. That or just previous people didn't trash it. Though there were some holes in the walls, and some things thrown on the floors, as expected. There was one room with the door closed. We tried opening it, but it was locked. Extremely weird, considering every other door was opened. Jose had a good point, though. Patients' sleeping room doors aren't permitted to have locks on them, so that meant something was blocking the door. We also heard noises on the other side of the door, like very, very light thump sounds. We went into the adjacent room, and there were a bunch of tiny holes in the walls. There was one hole in the wall adjacent to the next room over with the blocked door, a hole big enough to look through. I quietly got on my knees to look through it. My eyes had to adjust to the darkness, but after a second, I could see a woman in a long white dress, leaning on the far wall, seemingly looking at the door to the room. I was truly about to piss myself after seeing her. I whispered to Jose to look. He didn't believe me, but when he looked through the door, he gasped. We whispered to each other, wondering if we should get out. Jose said yes. He stood up and went to the door to the room. I got on my knees one more time to look through the hole.
Alright, you gonna learn, you know, your... That ain't that kind of hole.
Whispered to each other, wondering if we should get out. Jose said yes. He stood up and went to the door to the room. I got on my knees one more time to look through the hole again. As I put my eye up to the hole, the entire room was now blocked, because the woman had gotten on her knees and was looking through the hole back at me with this huge smile on her face. I screamed so loud it definitely echoed throughout the whole building. Jose didn't even ask why, he just ran for it.
I'm telling you!
The way we came in the basement. He crawled up through the window first, then me. The whole time I was trying to...
You are not getting through that bitch first if I'm there, dog. I'm gonna hawk you down, dog. I'm getting through that mother first.
In the basement. He crawled up through the window first.
Doggy bone.
The whole time I was trying to squeeze through the window, I was scared she was going to come up behind me and pull my legs back in.
Yup.
When we were both outside,
Jose
we went for our bikes and pedaled all the way back to Jose's. We didn't laugh about it at all. It genuinely was nightmare fuel. I went straight home after saying bye to him. I didn't feel safe being anywhere but inside my house, in my bed. I don't believe in ghosts, so I don't believe that was a ghost. I believe there was actually some psychotic woman in there. But all I'm saying is if I did believe in ghosts, I would 100% believe that's what I saw in that room.
What if it was a ghost? Just what if? Nah. That's somebody living in that mud. Jose wild as hell. That's my kind of friend right there. I ain't gonna cap to you, man. But I'm gonna make it quick, though. Wrap it up, dog. I don't feel like calling. But either way it go, though, man. I remember one time me and my cuz snuck out, did whatever we did. His mom chased us. She in a car. We on feet. So we, boom, cut through the houses, dip on her ass. She hit the corner, come around. We, boom, hit the fence, dip back on her. We thinking we playing her. Like, yeah, she don't know where that whole time she chased us. But we get in the parking lot. When I say she pulled, I think it was like a Regal or something. Pulled that bitch along. Almost hit us. Got out with the belt and went crazy on our ass, dog. But either way it go, I'm about to go ahead and wrap this video up, man. Go ahead and enjoy your day. Enjoy your morning, your evening, night, whatever my words gonna step. I'm out.